Ahoy there, you jabronis! Obi-Wan Kenobi Part 3. How's everyone doing? Your boy Dan. And with me again this week, I have the lovely Danny girl.
Hi, everybody.
How you doing today?
Oh, so much better now that I've watched Obi-Wan twice already.
So, so could we talk about how I was straight tripping and slipping? I watched Obi-Wan one time through, and I think the stress of my job got to me where I was like, I don't know if I like this as much, but I also was stressing so much about work and I couldn't fully focus on the episode. And you were like, you did not want to hear it. I could tell in your voice when I told you, this guy, is this guy kidding me? So I went back and watched it again, and yo, I was indeed straight tripping and slipping. The episode, for the most part, was really good and terrifying.
I also just want to say when I was on the phone with you, yes, you are right. I was definitely doing that. I'm distancing myself because you are not making any sense right now. But it was definitely a Celino. I had need some divorce papers over
Right
here.
up those divorce papers. Yeah, I definitely couldn't focus on it on the episode the first time when I sat through it as much as I would have liked, and then I made sure second time through, all right, I'm gonna pay much more closely to the details and to the story. And yeah, second time through, there was a lot of things that I picked up second time that I didn't in the first time, and just yeah, I think the brutality and the terrifying nature of what we see at the end, because we're gonna get into spoilers, that didn't hit me as much the first time through, and second time through just like, wow, holy crap. So yeah, so overall, what's your thoughts on the episode before we start diving into spoilers?
I'm gonna send Deborah Chow a love letter. Not if you'd like to sign it, you're welcome to. But I'm also just I am thoroughly enjoying it. I know I'm just so excited to watch more. I can't believe we have to wait another week before we get to watch another episode. I'm just thoroughly engrossed and so excited for this story because oh man, we I know I feel like last time we were like, "Oh, it's heart-wrenching," but man, this was like you said, brutal in a sense that we have not seen before and just kind of reminds you how terrifying Lord Vader is.
Yeah, so I do want to. Did you have any negative things that you didn't like about the episode, or any things that you felt like weren't the best with the episode?
There was something kind of towards the end. I was like, that maybe could have been flushed out a little bit more, but I'm not. It's not going to be the end of the world for me. What about you, Dan?
The only negative critiques I have on the episode, I think Leia, and we talked about this. There are times with her dialogue where I'm like, would a 10-year-old really say these things and act this way? But you did bring up a good point, right? The she's a princess. She's the daughter of a senator, of a high-ranking Imperial senator. She's been raised to act a certain way, which are we learn in the first episode, right? So there are things with Leia that I'm like, all right, I understand where why her character is the way she is, but at this point I'm feeling a little. That's probably my one critique I have with the series so far, is Leia. But at the end of the day, to me, like if I have to deal with a Leia that I'm not super excited about, or I think might be a little bit more, how do I want to say this? Maybe acting a little bit more of an older age than I think a 10-year-old would act. That to me is like small potatoes when we get to see the craziness that unfolds at the end of the episode.
I hear you, but I'm gonna agree. Because like I said when we were on the phone, Leia has been raised a very particular way. She's been very sheltered for her whole life. She's probably been going to lessons on how to act, how to properly greet people, this little girl is probably one of the most educated little girls in the galaxy. So the fact that she's wise beyond her years and is very quick thinking and fast on her feet, I'm okay with going along with that. I'll buy it.
And that is a good point. Those are things that I did not think about. And as you're saying this, I'm like, yeah, she's gonna have the most expensive education that
Mhm.
she can get. So yeah, when you say it like that, it does make a little bit more sense. But in the heat of the moment, as I'm watching the episode, that sort of stuff isn't coming to mind. But again, if that's the worst of what I have to complain about, like that to me, that's small potatoes. So let's dive into it because there's a lot of positives about this episode that I want to talk about. And we open up the episode with our boy Obi-Wan calling out to Qui-Gon. And again, he still cannot speak to Qui-Gon because he, like we talked about with part one and part two, he is just again tapping into the Force. He's not balanced enough. So it's going to take time. They're planting that seed so that by the end of the series, Qui-Gon is going to appear and is going to Obi-Wan will become more of what we come to expect of Obi-Wan from the prequels and the Clone Wars. But I really appreciate that we keep getting these scenes where Obi-Wan is reaching out to Qui-Gon because he needs Qui-Gon's advice and he needs Qui-Gon's help during a very tumultuous period for him.
Love how you're just kind of seeing him struggle. You know, he's been out of practice. He's shut himself off from the Force for these past 10 years. Like, he's not going to be able to make that connection. He's not the Jedi he was those years ago. So it's nice to see him struggle. And I think it's going to get all that much more satisfying when we get to see him connect with Qui-Gon.
And Ewan McGregor does such a good job in this scene of conveying like that anxiety that he's feeling. If when watching this scene, I kept being drawn to his hands and how fidgety his hands were. I just think it's those little things that Ewan McGregor does. He's such a freaking great actor. And we talked about this scene. I loved how we are seeing Obi-Wan is he is nowhere near the level of power wise what we saw in the prequels and in the Clone Wars. And then here we get juxtaposed with Obi-Wan being super anxious and calling out to Qui-Gon, freaking Darth Vader at like total opt level. Like this dude is just beast mode level, being built up to be this behemoth, menacing, freaking dark side villain. I love that in this episode, that's how we start out. Obi-Wan super anxious, not completely confident in himself, and Darth Vader suiting up to go find Obi-Wan and kick some ass.
And this still is freaking terrifying. Like, you see that coming out of smoke, I'm running the other way. I'm like just booking it.
I loved in this episode how terrifying Darth Vader is. They really did a fantastic job in this episode of conveying that menacing, just absolutely terrifying nature that we would come to expect with Darth Vader because he's supposed to be he's the second strongest person in the galaxy at this point, right? So you want to be able to convey that sense and that menacing demeanor from him, and I feel like they did such a great job. And there were so many awesome shots too, and just the first handful of minutes in this episode when we see Vader getting suited up.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Vader is terrifying in original trilogy, but I feel like Rogue One and this like upped the ante tenfold, and it's just you hear him breathe and you're like, like again, I'm just running the other way.
And I think it was Deborah Chow or someone during interviews for the lead up to the series was saying that Darth Vader, this is like prime Darth Vader. This is Darth Vader in prime Sith mode, and I totally got that sense, especially when the end of the episode comes rolling around. Like you really get a sense that this dude is in like peak performance mode right now. And from here we get to see the amazing Vader's Castle on Mustafar. I'm so glad that we got to see Vader's Castle. We knew it was going to be appearing for when concept art for the series was released, but just seeing it in live action again is always so awesome. I'm so glad that we got to see that. And then we get to see our homegirl Riva, or third sister. And we come to find out she, just like you had mentioned when we discussed part 1 and part 2, our homegirl's ambitious. She wants the Grand Inquisitor position. And I think another reason why the first time I watched this episode, I was a little taken aback, and why I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, is we don't hear what the heck happened to the Grand Inquisitor. And second viewing, I think that's purposeful. Do you think Grand Inquisitor's alive?
I think he's. I'm gonna go with yes. I think he's alive. I think that would be too much to totally retcon Rebels, and I think break my heart a little too much.
Absolutely crush me.
But I think when like watching it a second time and having the closed captions on, it was definitely very purposeful that they kind of like started to say what had happened and then kind of backed off. So I think Grand Inquisitor is still alive. He's still out there floating in a back to tank someplace.
Yeah, I think so too. I think at this point he's got, man, that would like suck so much if they retcon Grand Inquisitor and Rebel. So I don't think that that's going to happen. I think we're going to find out next episode or later in the series that Grand Inquisitor is in fact alive, and he was just put into a back to tank or something and sidelined. But I like that we're seeing again the ambitious nature of third sister, and that continues throughout this episode, especially when you start to see her interacting with fifth brother, fourth sister, that competitive nature between all of them and that distrust between all of them. So I really like that we're seeing, yeah, she's vying for that Grand Inquisitor position because she wants power, as is the nature of Darksiders. They're supposed to vie for power and kill people that stand in their way. So I do like that we're getting to see that.
I want to get too sidetracked here. Know if there's a method to how they heard the brothers and sisters?
I wondered this as well, because we hear at one point later on in the episode fifth brother make a comment to the third sister, something to the effect of, I'm next in line. And I'm wondering if it's the higher the number, the higher your rank, right? Because right now we've got third sister, fourth sister, and fifth brother, but I'm not entirely sure.
For you, get back on track.
Yeah, I did think about that too. One thing quickly that I just thought was so baller, like Darth Vader, just absolute baller status right here. His entire like throne room is made of granite or marble. Like, just think of that's straight baller right there. Your entire throne room is completely made with this like black, beautiful looking marble or granite. So, and I love that it overlooks the lava field. Just, I'm so happy we got to see Vader's castle, and I'm so happy we got to see it in this episode. I thought it was super, super freaking awesome. And then from that point, we see Obi-Wan is still kind of coming to grips with the knowledge that Anakin is still alive. And we get this great moment between Leia and Obi-Wan. I loved this moment between Leia and Obi-Wan where she asks him, they're talking about how the Force works. I think she tells him something along the lines of make the cargo ship go faster by using the Force. He tells her that's not how the Force works. She asks him, how does the Force work, or what does it feel like? And he tells her it's like being in a dark room and then you open up or you turn on a light. And he asks her how that makes her feel and safe. And I love that. I love that dialogue between the two.
I really am enjoying the relationship that these are growing together. Just the fact that the pain in one's eyes and just having all of these memories of Padme and Anakin life before, I feel like, are just flashing before his eyes when he's speaking with Leia.
Yeah, and one of the things too that I noticed is, and especially once they land on Mapuzo, we get this interaction between Obi-Wan and Leia where Obi-Wan kind of snaps at her, where he's kind of frantic about the person that they're supposed to be meeting not showing up. And Leia tells him, hey, we could trust him. And Obi-Wan says something along the lines of like, that's not how the world works, or that's not how the galaxy works, and he snaps at her, which I thought was so interesting because that's not something that you would see Obi-Wan do in the Clone Wars, in the prequel trilogy. But we're seeing here, yeah, he's going to absolutely be distrustful of people now because he has to. His life depends on him not trusting people because he doesn't know who could turn him in to the Empire or to the Inquisitors. So he has to distrust everyone. And we're seeing that here in how he interacts with Leia, which I thought was just, again, really great storytelling.
100% agree. It's again, it's just kind of showcasing how he changed and how he had to adapt over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we get this shot
Ooh.
of him. Like, is that him just remembering Anakin? Is that the Force calling out to him? Whatever it is, I was just like, holy crap, man. Wow. And I love that you see him. It's Jedi Anakin. It's Anakin, looks like from Revenge of the Sith, right? Like, I love that we get this shot, and I love that you see that Obi-Wan is haunted by what happened to Anakin.
I was so surprised. I actually audibly gasped when I watched this. I was like, oh, this is amazing. I'm so thrilled to see Aiden.
I love it too. And we talked about this in our last live stream. Like, why hire Hayden Christensen to portray Darth Vader if you're not going to do things like this in this series? And I love it, right? It just, again, hammering home how haunted Obi-Wan is by the past and by Anakin's fall to the dark side. I thought it was just so freaking great. And then the next scene we get, made me so happy. We travel to Nur, the moon of Nur, and get to explore Fortress Inquisitorius, which, oh man, I cannot even begin to tell you how excited I was during this scene. Like, this was straight nerd moment. We got to see Nur and Fortress Inquisitorius in Jedi Fallen Order, and I was so freaking excited. And I just love how awesome Fortress Inquisitorius looks. I love seeing when we get to see Third Sister just kind of making her way through the fortress and then getting to the Inquisitor room, which I didn't take a screenshot of it, and I'm so pissed. You pointed out. Let's see. Don't think you can see. You can kind of see it in the background here. Behind Fifth Brother, you had pointed this out to me. Those are lightsabers. And when you're seeing a wide open shot of the room with the Inquisitors speaking to each other, you're seeing these lightsabers and then those helmets that we see the Padawans training in the beginning of the series and throughout the Clone Wars. I did not catch that, but you had pointed that out to me. So booyah to you.
No, it was booyah to Twitter. I think it was Star Wars stuff or somebody on Twitter that had a screenshot, and it was like, oh my God, that is absolutely brilliant. Like, they're hunting these younglings. Why wouldn't they keep trophies? These guys are menaces.
Yeah, right. Like, oh my God, dude. When you had pointed that out to me, I was just like you said, why wouldn't they do that? They're all, and you hear Third Sister make the comment, "I'm going to be leading the hunt. I let Lord Vader know that we've encountered Obi-Wan. We have an idea of where he could be going, and he wants me to lead the hunt." Right? So they literally view this as them hunting, and the Jedi are their prey. So why wouldn't they keep these mementos or trophies of those that they've killed, just like a hunter would in our world, right? Which just so awesome.
I also just love how this scene was just kind of like Fifth Brother is trying to put Third Sister in her place, kind of just exerting his dominance almost.
Dude, I loved it.
It just, again, it just shows you how much they don't give a shit about one another and how they are only out for themselves.
Yeah, part one and part two, and we talked about this before, right before we started doing the stream. I think I needed to get used to how the Inquisitors were going to be portrayed, especially Fifth Brother, because we got to experience Fifth Brother in Rebels. Now, I'm watching this episode, I'm like, these actors are doing a fantastic job. I wish I could remember fifth brother's the actor's name. I'm totally drawing a blank right now, but I thought he was great. And this scene, especially, like you said, he uses the force and he like pulls her down, and she almost has like a like kind of like a crucified stance that she's in. It was just freaking awesome.
Sung his full
I'm
name
totally
either.
drawing a blank. As pooped by Anakin Skywalker. Yeah, seeing the interactions between Leia and Obi-Wan really is special, and we get the moment later on in the episode where we get this dialogue between Leia and Obi-Wan, where she mentioned, I think she asked him, like, didn't you knew my mother, right? Something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
And or no, that's what it was. Are you my father?
If Obi-Wan knew, kind of.
Yeah, and then she asked him if he was his father, and he had said to her, "I wish I was your father." And then he starts talking about how he could understand wanting to know his parents because of the fact that he was taken into the Jedi Order as a youngling. And again, that's just another moment between these two that I really liked. I will have to say, and we talked about this in the last stream, this little girl is a freaking good actor, man. She is a pretty good freaking actor.
Is, I think, absolutely adorable. And again, I really feel like she is embodying Leia and what Leia stands for and just what that character is.
Yeah. Yeah. I really loved this scene because I loved seeing Obi-Wan. You could tell, I mean, look at this image. You can tell that's just a pained individual, and he's so hurt by what happened to Padme and what happened to Anakin, and having to talk about that with their daughter. And I love that you can get that sense when you see Obi-Wan interacting with her. Now, to back up a little bit, they land on Mapuzo and they encounter this goddamn ratfink. This ratfink son of a bitch. You can never trust a ratfink, but I will say, I love how he looks. The practical effects are freaking awesome. Freaking Mole Man.
Literally is a moment.
Hans Mole Man is what they should have called him. But they meet up with Hans, or what's his name, Freck. I'm going to call him Hans Mole Man. They meet up with Hans Mole Man.
It's Freck.
And he gives them a ride to, although Obi-Wan does not want to get in the back of his freaking lift, because we come to find out this dude is an Imperial sympathizer and winds up picking up some stormtroopers, and Obi-Wan and Leia's nearly caught because they've got a cover story. What is it? Adema or Aduma, something like that. And Leia is going by Luma. I can't remember. Orden, thank you. Aduma. From Tall. And Obi-Wan mistakenly refers to her as Leia, and the stormtrooper picks up on that, but he's able to quickly make up some story about how Leia was Luma's mother's name, and he forgets because she's dead. But we're getting that sense of, they've got to be on their toes. And then we find out that our boy is about to get caught by the Empire and the Inquisitors because the goddamn probe shows up. And I think it's so great seeing Obi-Wan use a blaster, thinking about Revenge of the Sith when he shoots Grievous and then makes the comment, so uncivilized. And our boy's a crack shot.
And gotta use that force, right?
I thought it was dope how he's going to put down the blaster, and he's slowly speaking, saying something along the lines of just let the girl go, and then blast the stormtrooper. Like, this is awesome.
Just again, yeah, like surprise,
motherfucker. Yeah, I really enjoyed this, and then we get to meet Tala, who when this show was announced and when the cast started to be announced, everything I read was she was going to be a villain. And I like that we initially think she's going to be a villain, and she's not. She's a good guy, and she's helping Jedi evade the Empire, which I thought is just so dope. because we learn something even crazier later on. But yeah, I really like that we get to see Tala, and she's not just another old Imperial. She is going to be someone that is going to be helping Obi-Wan and helping Jedi escape the Empire. And plus, whenever we get to see Alaria Sand, right? Like, hell yeah.
Literally, like the best, had the best. I think that's might be on film or like TV.
How many other Game of Thrones actors have made it into Star Wars? Obviously, Pedro.
Now
I know,
I'm not
right?
ready for this. Not prepared.
And then we head back to Fortress Inquisitorius, and Fifth Brother tells Third Sister that the probe has found Obi-Wan on Mapuzo and that he's already notified Vader. So you're seeing that tugging between these two, the back and forth between the two, the distrust and that competition between the two, which I really like. Also, we get to hear Fourth Sister speak for the first time, which I appreciate. I was happy that she wasn't just an ancillary background character, although she for the most part was. I'm happy we at least got to hear her voice again. I hope we learn more about her story.
I want her to get in on this hateful action. The three, all of that hatred for one another. I'm gonna pull in.
Yeah, she might just be. Now that I'm thinking about it, she might be being set up as just like fodder for Obi-Wan or someone else to jack up later on in the series. But I do want to know more about her. And then from here, we learn what Tala is all about and how she's, I think it's referred to as the path. There's safe houses all throughout the galaxy, and a group of people that are helping Jedi escape the Empire, which I thought was so cool. And my first thought made me think of like the Underground Railroad when they
Absolutely.
started talking about that, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, how you definitely first thought of.
And dude, I literally was like, no freaking way, yelling at the TV at this part, because we find out our boy Quinlan Voss is still alive, and he's a part of this system of saving Jedi and Force sensitive, because that's right, it's not just Jedi, it's Force sensitives, that children that the Empire is hunting, and we learn that they are taken. I don't know what happens to them. Like, we know the Inquisitorius was taking children by the time of towards the end of the Clone Wars. Are they still taking children to make them as Inquisitors? I have no clue. I wonder if that's something that we'll find out. But yeah, the fact that Quinlan Voss, we learn that he's alive and he's a part of this, is so dope and makes me wonder, are we going to see him later in the series?
I would be so excited. Love to see.
And we were, I said it to you earlier, something like you can only see when your eyes are closed. Do you remember what he read that Quinlan wrote?
That's pretty fun. I think you can. One of us should have written it down.
You can only
Only
truly
usually
see
see.
when your eyes are closed. And Leia asks what, responses the way, which I think is so great, and it illustrates, right. This is basically that's what Obi-Wan's dealing with. He needs to get back to his confidence and reopen himself to the Force so he could see the way again and get back to that Obi-Wan that we know. So yeah, that I loved that quote. I loved this moment when we learned that Quinlan Voss is alive. Just special for frickin'. And then here, what we get to see our boy, was I think it's Ned B was the lifter droid's name. The Empire comes and they're almost found out. Then we get a little bit more insight into Tala and what she's doing. We learn that she was previously um, in the Imperial military, I believe, that she joined the Empire when she thought that they initially stood. Then she learned, what the Empire was all about and wanted no part of that. And then, dude, during this scene here, the dread sets in for Obi-Wan.
Haunted. Absolutely.
Dude, this scene was wild as freaking hell. And I love just how the cinematography is done to convey that sense of anxiety and dread in Obi-Wan, where like the camera angle becomes skewed and he is straight up panicking. I was thinking about this, like imagine whatever skill you're good at, imagine not doing it for 10 years and then trying to pick it up again, right? Now imagine trying to compete against someone who's continued to do that thing and is just straight up baller mode, and you have not done it for 10 years.
Thinking about jujitsu, don't
Oh,
you?
100%. I'd be like, oh, if I got back into jujitsu, that's what it'd be like me rolling with the freaking brown belts and blue belt or brown belts and black belts and like, yeah, hey guys, I'm here to roll again. They mop the floor with me, right? And that's exactly how I likened it when I was watching this scene. And Obi-Wan knows that. Obi-Wan is absolutely terrified because Obi-Wan can sense him and Obi-Wan understands how freaking powerful Darth Vader is. And he knows I've cut myself off from the Force, or for the most part, have cut myself off from the Force. And this dude is straight beast moded.
Obi-Wan knows that he up against a wall, but he knows he has to save Leia. And what gonna do to that?
Yeah, so at this point he sends Leia away and Darth Vader can sense Obi-Wan. And dude, I love that Darth Vader's thought is, I could sense Obi-Wan. I'm going to draw him out by absolutely brutalizing these villagers. Dude, him ripping this guy, using the Force to pull him out of his abode, and then snapping his son's neck. Ridiculous. And then he uses the Force and he's just dragging that one woman along the street. Like, absolutely ruthless and brutal.
And this is just like how terrifying Vader is right now. He is. I don't even know. Terrifying. It's literally just sat at the edge of my seat. Like, again, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Like, run away. Don't go anywhere near him.
He's one terrifying motherfucker. Right, so now Obi-Wan's like, Leia, you need to go with Tala. She'll protect you. And then dun dun dun. I freaking love the moment when Vader ignites his lightsaber, and this shot right here, like, so freaking amazing and also terrifying.
Blade.
And his breathing, dude. And again, I just love that Obi-Wan knows I do not stand a chance, and that is absolutely conveyed throughout the scene. Obi-Wan just straight dips. He's like, yo, I got to get out of here. I can't go to toe to toe with this guy. He will maul me. And then, dude, what have you become? What you have made me. I seriously was just like, oh my God. Like, the fact that Obi-Wan asks him, what have you become? And Darth Vader's response is, what you have made of me, or what you have made me become. Just absolutely ridiculous. And holy crap.
Again, rip out my heart. Why don't God? Poor, like, Obi-Wan obviously cannot take the fall for all of this, but just to kind of hear how much hate towards Obi-Wan and how much blame she is.
I mentioned this to you earlier, and I have thought about it each time I've watched. Oh my God, I probably have watched the first two parts now, like 3 times. And now I've already watched this episode twice, and all I kept thinking about is like, God, Obi-Wan is just like, what a tormented soul. He has had such a sad. And the Clone Wars animated series, Rebels, now the Obi-Wan series, and even the prequels in Revenge of the Sith, we getting to see all this freaking heartbreak that Obi-Wan has had to endure. He's had to witness his master dying, Satine Kryze, his love, dying, his Padawan fall to the dark side, the Jedi Order, and pretty much everyone he loved died. Like, Jesus Christ, man, how much can one person freaking endure?
But we also have to remember, at the end of the day, he keeps choosing choosing the light side. No matter how much heartbreak and how awful life is become or is, he has always chosen the light side. So that not the ultimate difference between then the tragic character of Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's such a great point, right? That's the difference between Anakin and Obi-Wan. And I think that just goes to hammer home how great of a Jedi Obi-Wan is. You know this. I've always loved Yoda since I was a little kid. The older I get, the more I'm like, Yoda's kind of a dick. Like, Yoda was a big part of the Jedi Order's fall, and Obi-Wan was as well to an extent. But man, Obi-Wan had to endure a lot of shit, a lot of heartbreak, and he never swayed. And yeah, that is the difference between Obi-Wan and Vader. Vader took the easy way out. He tried to take the easy path to help save Padme, and it was obviously for naught. But yeah, that's the difference between Vader and Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan chooses not to take the easy way out. It's heartbreaking. This scene, dude, I love Vader just straight up manhandling Obi-Wan. Like, Obi-Wan can't even hold Vader's jockstrap here. He's just getting just straight up worked and jerked right now.
Like Obi-Wan literally is like using two hands to all of his strength, and Vader's just like twirling it with his one hand. Just
Yep.
like, stop you today.
Vader is just, again, this is like just Vader at his prime. This is black belt, like red stripe Vader, just like beast mode in it. And here, you brought up an excellent point to me here, and it did not dawn on me because Leia wants Tala to go back and save Obi-Wan. And share with our viewers, our listeners, why your reason why Leia tells Tala this.
My thought was that Leia and Obi-Wan just had a discussion earlier in the episode about what the safe, and I feel like this might be whether Leia had some inklings was force sensitive. I feel like maybe really starting to realize that and leaning, and I feel like she probably sensed that Obi-Wan was in dire trouble. Knows that at this point Tala's going to be go and help him, and otherwise Obi-Wan's not going to stand a chance and escape this.
I think you're so on point here. I think you hit the nail on the head. And again, I didn't realize that, but yeah, that would totally explain why she's telling Tala to go back and save Obi-Wan, because we know she's force sensitive. She just had this conversation with Obi-Wan about the force. So she's trusting her gut, she's trusting her instincts. She knows something's not right, and she wants Tala to go help Obi-Wan because, again, our dude is just getting straight worked and jerked. While this is happening, Reva finds the safe house, and I love this, man. Oh, I love the Jedi symbol, and seeing her reaction to that symbol, I know we're gonna find out more about what happened to her. I cannot wait to find out what happened to her, because there is definitely, she has some ill will towards the Jedi. Something had to have caused her to harbor that disdain and probably hatred for the Jedi Order, and I cannot wait to find out what it was.
Hey, we could even just go with, I hope it's more in depth than this, like in their care she was a youngling and Jedi couldn't protect her.
That's a good point, right? They're supposed to be the protectors of these younglings, and they couldn't protect her, especially if you juxtapose that to Obi-Wan and Leia, right? Obi-Wan helping save Leia, that could definitely be it. But yeah, I'm definitely itching to learn more about Third Sister and her backstory and why she harbors so much hatred for the Jedi. And then, bro, dude, Darth Vader burning Obi-Wan. What was your thoughts during this scene?
I've said it about 6 times already. I literally just like sat there gasping with my jaw on the floor. Like, what? I mean, I feel like it's the fact that due to Obi-Wan, him better of revenge.
I love too how you see Darth Vader. He's using the Force to hold Obi-Wan up. He knocks over whatever these flammable rocks are or
That too.
objects. She fourth sister said it, and something with a V, I believe. Um, but he's holding Obi-Wan up, and he slowly starts like dipping down, and he uses his lightsaber to ignite it. Just like, dude, and then he freaking slowly drags Obi-Wan across the fire and these hot coals, torturing Obi-Wan and telling him, "You will suffer slowly. You're not going to die quickly. I will make you suffer." Until our girl Tala comes and saves him, and it would make sense that Obi-Wan, or excuse me, not Obi-Wan, Darth Vader, he's not going to go through that fire because our dude got straight up scorched, and that's why he's in that suit. So it makes sense to me why he's not going after Obi-Wan and Tala and going through that fire, because our dude probably has some PTSD and is terrified of fire, at least to some degree. Tala is able to save him, and then we see our boy Ned B or Ned C, whatever that damn Ned B, whatever that lifter droid's name is, come in and pick Obi-Wan up. I thought for some first time through, I was like, is there someone hiding behind? Is that not actually a droid? But it obviously is a droid. That's me being a dodo brain. But I like our boy Ned. And then we end the episode with third sister finding Leia and killing this poor goddamn pilot. So yeah, what a fantastic episode. I was tripping first time through. This episode is fantastic. And I have to imagine we're going to see by the end of the series Obi-Wan fully connect with the Force again, regain his power and his strength in the Force, and is going to have an even more baller duel between Darth Vader. I don't think this is the duel that they said was going to be like the duel of the century or whatever when the series was announced. I imagine in episode 6 we're going to see a fully confident Obi-Wan back to himself duel with Darth Vader, which will be dope.
Not the duel of the century until Bates is playing in the background. No, but
speaking of, you did you send me the video from Celebration of?
No, you sent it to me.
Did I send it to you? Oh my god, yeah, the video of at Celebration of Duel of the Fates being performed live. Oh, what a fantastic song. Oh god, so good.
I do just want to quickly go back to the screenshot for a second, because this was like the only thing that I kind of want to call it even a beef. I was like, man, this doesn't make sense, but I'll go with it. How Leia's running through this little tunnels, and Riva comes out at the other end, not only beat out where she needs to be, and then also pilot. Whether you want to jump on the train of make believe like, oh well, Riva's Force sensitive, maybe she had a hunch as to where she needed to go. I don't know.
Bro, this is parkour Riva. She probably parkoured through the streets of Mapuzo to get to the other end. That is a good point, right? If we're trying to find like an in-universe explanation, Force sprint, parkour her way through. But yeah, that didn't dawn on me until you just said it. But it is a good point. How the hell did she? But I'm gonna say she parkoured her way.
I mean, if you're gonna take a tunnel, where would be an ideal place? Escape someplace, do someplace else. So I guess, sure, spaceport works. A little bit of make believe, get there, but I'm okay with that.
So now we know at the other end, this pilot was supposed to take it was the planet. I feel I definitely should have took more notes, bro. We got New York Rangers East Conference Finals coming up in a little bit, so Danny and I are definitely slipping a little bit. We got a hockey game to watch soon. I think the Jabeam. I think it was Jabeam was the planet's name.
Right.
Where we know the people that work the path, they were going to take Leia and Obi-Wan to Jabim. I imagine next episode is going to be in at Jabim. Tala and Obi-Wan will be there, and third sister is, I would imagine there's probably coordinates already punched into the ship this dead pilot was going to be using, and that's how she's going to find Tala and Obi-Wan. But I'm excited for part 4. This series so far has pretty much been better than I could have asked for.
I agree. I've been really having a fun time on this ride, and I am so excited for.
So I think that's a good spot to end. Like I said, we got Rangers coming up, bro. Rangers versus Lightning, which I'm super pumped for. Any last takeaways?
Ooh. Had me go first?
Yeah, I'm having you go first.
Give me more intimidating Vader. Like I said, scared the Pantalone off me. He's terrifying. I love it. Scare me straight. I want to see more, and I want to see some more looked at Obi-Wan, not with Leia in this.
Yeah, I agree. I want to see more. I love seeing this conflicted Obi-Wan. I want to see him continue to gain his confidence, and I want to just continue to see Black Belt Darth Vader destroying everyone in his path, because it is freaking awesome. Sure.
Get ready for Sassy Leia next episode, because if we've learned anything from the original trilogy and anything before, Leia's not going to take very well to somebody holding her captive.
Oh, Reva's going to want to jack her up for sure. Reva's going to want to judo chop her. But all right, I think we're going to end it there. This is definitely going to be a weekly thing. Whether or not Danny joins me every week, maybe not, but I will definitely be streaming each week. So make sure to keep an eye out for these live streams, depending upon work. And now with hopefully the Rangers going to this, hopefully, knock on wood, making it past the Lightning. I'm going to probably do these around sometime between like 6 and 8 o'clock on Wednesdays. So definitely keep a lookout for them as the days go by after the episodes drop. I'll probably also release some short videos about it. But you guys are awesome. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to subscribing to the channel. You guys are the best. So with that, stay nerdy, and may the force be with you always.